Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing a complete professional walkthrough of the Biz-Tech Services CommerceHub Connector for Acumatica. Architecture and Workspace Overview. This connector creates a dedicated CommerceHub workspace right in Acumatica. What's great is that every single stage of the data flow gets its own dedicated screen. So if you know what stage a record is at, you know exactly which screen to open. The way this connector actually talks to the outside world is totally unique. Most standard integrations out there use live API connections, right? They're like instantaneous digital handshakes. Well, CommerceHub relies on a secure file transfer protocol, or SFTP. Every piece of information, whether that's an order, an invoice, or an inventory count, is fundamentally just a text file. These files pass through an FTP client like FileZilla before they ever reach the CommerceHub platform. Recognizing that every single record is literally a file in transit is your key to understanding and troubleshooting this whole system. The mapping screen. It dictates the behavior of the entire connector. Basically, almost any question you have about why the connector did a certain thing can be answered by looking right here at these four critical tabs. We've got store codes, cross-reference, warehouse details, and the inventory template. We'll start with store codes because they are the absolute heart of this integration. Setups for each individual partner. You can define specific transaction types, set up descriptions, and even assign specific default customers. Since almost every import and export screen in the connector filters by store code, picking the right one is step number one in your daily workflow. Inbound orders and acknowledgments. When you use the import purchase order screen to pull those text files into Acumatica and transform them into actionable sales orders, customers aren't imported directly from CommerceHub. So you might be wondering, where does the real dropship customer address actually go? The sales order header gets assigned a default customer, like your master record for Michaels, for instance. The connector is actually smart enough to safely write the actual end recipient's data right into the addresses tab of that specific sales order. This guarantees that the order posts financially to your retail partner, but the box physically ships exactly to the right doorstep. Now, once that order is safely sitting in Acumatica, you have to let your retail partner know you've got it. This happens in the acknowledgment stage. The sales order generates two fields that start in an open status. To close the loop here, you actually have to process two screens: the Export CommerceHub PO acknowledgement screen and the Export CommerceHub acknowledgement screen. Both screens must be processed. Once you do that, the order disappears from those export screens, which is exactly what you want to see, and the status on the sales order successfully transitions over to closed. Outbound shipments and invoices. If an order's shipment status is confirmed, boom, it appears on the Export CommerceHub shipment screen. If the order is invoiced or released, it pops up on the Export CommerceHub Invoices screen. If you ever notice something is missing from an export list, simply go check the core document status in Acumatica first. Synchronizing inventory to CommerceHub. To make sure you're sending the right data, you first use the inventory template on the mapping screen to subscribe specific items for the sync. Then, under warehouse details, you have to deliberately choose your quantity basis. You've got three options: on-hand quantity, which is everything physically sitting in the building; available quantity, which subtracts your current commitments; or available for shipment, which is your most conservative metric. Managing errors and failures. Tracking down failures means you need to check two distinct places that represent both sides of the transaction. First, you have the CommerceHub error screen, which catches issues reported back to you by the CommerceHub platform itself. Conversely, you have the error log, which is located on your mapping screen, and this catches Acumatica's own internal file processing errors. But what happens when a purchase order completely fails to import? Say an item ID from the retailer wasn't mapped in your cross-reference tab. Don't worry, it is never lost. It simply waits for you in a dedicated Import Failed Purchase Order screen. All you have to do is review the error log, update your cross-reference mapping to teach the system about that new item, and then seamlessly retry the import right from that very same screen. Thanks so much for watching this explainer. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe for more Acumatica content, and jump right into your system to start configuring today.